Welcome, Sens Talk.
Stützle winds in, feeds it back across the track and scores! Brady Tkachuk makes it 2-0.
Tim Stützle across. Tkachuk score! The captain, Brady Tkachuk, buries it with 1:18 to go.
See you later. Go Sens, go. Welcome to Sens Talk. My name is Brandon Plant, and I'm your host. Tonight, Ottawa took on the Florida Panthers as they look to continue their winning ways, coming off of that overtime victory the other day against the Washington Capitals. Shout out to Jake Sanderson, of course. But against Florida, let's just say Ottawa has not had as much success. Let's break down the numbers, shall we? So look, we all know the famous stat. Going into this game, we spoke about it last game. Going into this game, Ottawa in 4 straight games. 1, 2, 3, 4. Unbelievable. In 4 straight games, has given up a goal on the opening shot or two. On the first or second shot of the game, in 4 straight games, the Sens have given up a goal. I don't know about you. Doesn't sound like a recipe of success to me. By the way, that stat already absurd that it's been 4 straight games. Let's zoom out a little bit more. Not only has it been 4 straight games they've done that 21 times this year. 21 times. Do the math. That's a quarter of the season. That is absolutely absurd. And look, we zoomed out. Now let's zoom back in very, very close. Because guess what? Out of those 21 total times this year where Ottawa's given up the opening goal on the first or second shot, 3 of those, 3 of those, 1, 2, 3, were against the Florida Panthers. That is absolutely insane. And every single game the Ottawa Senators have played against the Florida Panthers, they've given up a goal on the opening shot or two. I mean, no wonder the Ottawa Senators have no success against Florida this year. The only time they've gotten a point was in a 3-2 loss to them in overtime. So they got 1 point, but they've lost all 3, including 2 of those in regulation, going to this one. And by the way, they're lucky they even got a point. This year against Florida, Ottawa has been outscored 14-2. Of course, they only scored in that game they lost in overtime. That means they've been shut out twice. Yeah, twice against Florida this year. They got shut out last week, of course, to Florida, looking to avoid getting back-to-back shutouts against the Florida Panthers. So, I mean, that's a lot of stats to throw at you, but I mean, if you're a Sens fan, I mean, just take that all in. That is the encapsulation of the season if I've ever seen it. It's unbelievable how this goaltending screws us or the defense screws us. The only thing this team is consistent at is giving up goals. So, I just had to break it down like that because 21 times, that's insane. But 3 of those against Florida is absolutely absurd. And then you look at the fact that they've dominated us in every game. It doesn't bode well for our chances tonight. So let's jump into it. Tim Stützle would remain out for this game, which would hurt our offensive chances. And we'll talk about the face-off percentage, between the two teams who won in the post-game thoughts. But Ottawa surprisingly did pretty well in the face-off circle, without Stützle and Norris especially. So I thought that was impressive. We'll talk about that later, though. But the last couple things I want to mention is Ian Cox, the assistant equipment manager of the Ottawa Senators, 1,000 games today in the National Hockey League, so congratulations to him. The team wore special Ian Cox jerseys. They're pretty cool. I remember Ottawa did that as well for Derek Brassard when he reached 1,000 games, so that's very, very special. You know, I love when people behind the scenes that really helps this team function, like the guys that do the day-to-day stuff that don't get enough airtime, frankly. Ian Cox is one of those, and it was cool to see the Sens put out a video today with Mark Stone, Jean-Gabriel Pajot, Borowiecki, a lot of other former Senator players and current Sens players that, were wishing him the best. So it's always great to see somebody that doesn't get enough recognition, let's be honest, get some recognition. So congratulations to Ian Cox. Here's to 1,000 more games. Now, the last thing I want to mention is it would be Joonas Korpisalo for Ottawa and Anthony Stolarz for the Florida Panthers. It was expected that Bobrovsky would start today. I believe he was confirmed as a starter. Maybe he was dealing with some sort of minor injury because Stolarz would end up starting the game. Now, let's draw into the game. Let's jump right into it. And early on, I love this. Ridly Greig fights Niko Mikkola. This, of course, is a response to his high hit on Tim Stützle, which has made him miss a couple of games in a row now. Frankly, they should have done this in that game. The fact he was able to skate around in our rink, at our home, without any sort of pushback after injuring our star player. I mean, that says all you need to know about this team. They're too soft, I'll be honest with you. But you know what? You have guys like Ridly Greig and Brady Tkachuk and even Mark Kaslik and McEwen and Boko Imama. You'd have to hope one of them would step up. Parker Kelly as well. And thankfully, Ridly Greig did. I love to see that. A veteran move from a rookie. Standing up for your teammate who's been injured to a player who had a bit of a dangerous hit, to be honest, on Tim Stützle. a bit of a reckless hit that other night against Florida, right? So great to see that from Ridly Greig. Yeah, he might have lost the fight, but I mean, he's got like 30-pound difference, I believe, and like 5 inches of height difference as well. So just to get into that fight, defend your teammate, and send a message is great. So shout out to Ridly Greig, a veteran move for a rookie. Now that's kind of where the positives end for Ottawa, as moments later, maybe a few minutes later, a bad line change for Ottawa is taken advantage by Anthony Stolarz, who has a beautiful stretch pass from zone to zone, finds Anton Lundell on a partial breakaway, and he does the rest. The Panthers strike first, 1-0, but I guess for some positive, it was not on the first or second shot. It was like on the 5th or 6th. So if that's a little bit better to you, it sounds a little bit better to me, I suppose. At least that streak is over. But the Florida Panthers continue their domination. They lead 1-0. And then 2 minutes later, it's 2-0. Nick Cousins would make it a double lead for the Florida Panthers. It's 2-0 for them. He waits out Joonas Korpisalo right out front as Mikkola, of course, gets an assist on the goal. He drops it right to Cousins and draws the defender towards him, leaving Cousins in open lane, who takes advantage of that open lane and buries it past the blocker of Joonas Korpisalo while waiting him out. So after 20 minutes of play, the Panthers would lead by 2. Ottawa played fine, but when you're missing Tim Stützle, you're missing Josh Norris, those are some very important goal scorers. It's going to be tough to get some goals. So they couldn't get anything going in that first period. Same thing would go on to that second period, where shots were just above 10 each midway through the game. It was a very tight game. Ottawa wasn't playing bad by any means. They weren't playing great either. They were just kind of both playing shutdown defense, and both goalies didn't really have to make any big saves until the third period, which we'll get to now because nothing really happened in the second period. In the third period of play, Ottawa will get a power play. Not much going on there. Florida would also get a power play. Korpisalo makes some big saves, to be honest with you, particularly late, keeping Ottawa in it to give them a chance to win this one, but they would not, as the Florida Panthers hold on for the 2-0 victory over the Ottawa Senators, shutting out the Ottawa Senators back-to-back games and 3 out of the 4 games they played against us this year, winning all of them as well. 4 out of 4 games they've faced us, they've won this year. That's absolutely insane. And as I already mentioned, they've been outscored this year 14-2 by the Florida Panthers. So Ottawa and Florida are just in different classes. I cannot say that enough. There's just a different level of talent, so to speak, between these two teams. I think Ottawa has a lot of talented players, but there's no unison there. As I've already mentioned many, many times this year, there's no unison. They don't play like a team. That's why it's so important you bring in the right coach, right? Because look at Florida, for example. Look at Carolina. You bring in the right coach and everything turns around. So if you have the talent anyways. So congrats to Florida, I suppose. I mean, another dominant victory for them. I cannot imagine how upsetting this might be for Brady Tkachuk. Obviously, once again, the Sens played fine, but they're missing some key scorers. So that's a bit of an outlier for this game. But losing all 4 games to your brother, I mean, that must suck for him. He's definitely going to be hearing that during the offseason, that's for sure, from him at the cottage or whatever, So that one definitely stings for Tkachuk, that's for sure. Now, Joonas Korpisalo, as I already mentioned, had a pretty solid game. He faced 30 shots, made 28 saves for a .933 save percentage. Can't complain about his game. First goal, breakaway. What are you going to do? It went 5-hole. Second goal, Nick Cousins taking advantage of a lane with a couple of guys out front screening him. And Korpisalo went down because he was screened. Cousins takes advantage. So other than those 2 goals that, frankly, he didn't really have much of a chance on, solid game, a few key saves. So he was definitely the best player for Ottawa today. I'm just looking at the other stats here. I mean, Brady Tkachuk, 2 hits, 3 shots, a goal, a block. Typical Brady Tkachuk game. Jake Sanderson as well in just under 23 minutes of ice time. Pretty solid game. Shot on goal, 3 hits, 3 blocks. Erik Brannstrom, the blocking king, 4 blocks today, 2 hits, a shot on goal as well. And Jacob Bernard-Docker, by the way, who, Noah Luden, vice president of Sens Talk, he loves this guy because he leads Ottawa in shot blocks. He had 2 more today. So another solid game there for Jacob Bernard-Docker. Chychrun and Zub as well had 3. So there was a lot of block shots today. That happens when you're playing a team like Florida with so many potented offensive talents. Now, as I already mentioned or alluded to at the beginning of the video, Ottawa today in the faceoff circle is pretty solid. They only won a couple more than Florida, 24-22. But considering they didn't have Stützle or Norris in the lineup, I think that's very, very impressive. So kudos to Ottawa, and particularly their bottom 6. Yuri Smejkal, you have Mark Kaslik, you have these guys winning faceoffs there. So kudos to them for winning those faceoffs because obviously Greig and Pinto did well. We expect that from them. But, your bottom 6 against a team like Florida, when right now literally the bottom 6 is like 2 fourth lines full of fringe NHLers, frankly. Pretty impressive. I wanted to give a bit of a shout out to them for that. Ottawa today as well. They had a few power play opportunities. They had 3 to be exact. Of course, did not score on any of them. That power play did not have anything going for them either. I mean, I don't know what they're trying to do. They're forcing shots, or not shots, passes to the point, and they don't have any bodies out front. So I don't really know why you're putting it to the point and not putting any bodies out front. I don't understand why you wouldn't just try to set up that one-time shot in the slot, or, you know, like the bumper pass, or, of course, in the hash mark, like where Norris used to take advantage of, right? So I don't really understand what's going on in the Ottawa Senator power play, but there's 4 games left in the year, so really, who cares, right? Who cares? Let's just lose the games and get better draft odds, I suppose, at this point. Now, speaking of that, and whoops, almost broke my phone here. Speaking of that, let's jump into the Tankathon. You guys love it. I love it. And hopefully, you know what? Look, the last 6 videos or so I've done, we have not done well in these Tankathon spins. So hopefully we can change that momentum and get a win off the ice, because we certainly did not win on the ice today. So with that, let's get it started for the first spin. Hey, we'll take it. Top 3, baby. Let's go. Levshinov, Silyev, Perek. A lot of solid defenders there. Love to see that. Second spin. All right. I mean, we'll still take 7th. At least we didn't drop. And then the third spin. Oh, let's go. Finish it off with a bang. First overall for your Ottawa Senators. You love to see it. That is the way to finish it off, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate your support. I will see you again on Thursday when Ottawa takes on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Hopefully Ottawa can, you know, get a lightning in a bottle, I suppose, and get the big 2 points against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Besides that, thank you all for watching. I'll see you all soon. Go Sens, go.